stress of the caregivers goes up very high in this level and come down. We use a questionnaire called the General Health Questionnaire, which is used in the GPs. You know. Okay, and then before that, all right, I want to ask you a question. I think push that again. Yeah. All right. So having found that caregivers have stress, as a researcher, you must think of solutions. It's bad to tell people you're stressed, but we do all the stress. You know? So we thought that maybe we should do something to reduce the stress of caregivers so that they can continue to look after old people, the family members. So what we did was to do a study in which I wrote a book called Caring for the Elderly together with my geriatrician friend. It's all sold out now. You know. So we told them, we give you a book to read through one group, and then we'll assess you again in 4 months' time. Another group, I told them, we'll give you the book, but my nurse, you can ring the nurse, or my nurse will ring you once a week to find out how you're getting on. And the same group, every month we see you for family therapy, you know. And because of the World Health Study, we give you free lunch, you know. Now, what happened after 4 months? You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that this group, you know, with a free book and a free lunch and also the phone call responded well, you know, isn't it? The stress level falls. But the question is, I'm going to ask one of you here, of these 3 things, a book, the free lunch, family meeting, it's gone off again, is it? Free lunch, and the telephone. Which one did the family members say the most useful? Philip, can we help out? Anybody? Exactly. It's the telephone that's most useful, you know, to reuse, because they tell you that you can ring them, they tell you there's a human voice, and they're so pleased to tell you the problems and how to reduce the problems. And then, so we thought, okay, telephone will be a very useful way. And in fact, about 2 years ago, I was giving a lecture in Kuching, and they told me the same problem, because the Kuching is where they concentrate all the expertise in elderly and mental health. But far away in Miri, they don't have anybody. You know, so why not use a telephone? You know. But now the better instrument, I told some of my friends here, is the webcam. You can even have a small camera in front of the computer, and someone far away in the third division, you can help them out. You know, so this is a technology you can use to help people. Are we moving okay, Philip? Yeah. All right. Okay, but our again. So let me move on again. So we thought maybe his telephone is useful. If you try and ring my department or the clinic, I'm sure you ring even Zainab's clinic, it will always be engaged because it's so busy, you know. So the caregivers complain to me is that no use having a stress line for all of us, stress hotline, when it's always engaged. So that was about 7 years ago, you know. And at that time it was the beginning of the internet, you know. So I said, why don't we do a research on email counseling and compared with telephone counseling, you know. It was the first study done in the world done by us, you know. All right. Like a caveat, a caution for all of you who want to do telephone counseling or email counseling, make sure you know the patient well enough, you know. All right? Because you don't know the patient, and if something goes wrong, you're in serious trouble. You know, there'll be a suit against you, you know. So normally, I still do, during the SARS time, my patient from Malaysia, Penang, even Indonesia, Bangladesh, or even from Cambodia couldn't come down. So we used e-counseling. Or telephone counseling. So we did a study to compare email counseling and e-counseling and telephone counseling. So the question once again, I won't ask Ramesh, he's out there, he's listening attentively. Anybody, what thing is which one is more effective now? E-counseling or telephone counseling? Telephone, all right. You're so bright, all of you. I agree with you. I agree with you. It's still telephone counseling, an old technology invented by Alexander Graham Bell more than 100 years ago. Is still so effective to reduce the stress of people. You know. Depends on your mood now. If you're feeling very depressed and fed up with things, you think this is the sunset, you know. If you are optimistic, you're very happy like Xavier, you think, oh, this sunrise. You know? All right. Now, I mention this because, hold on to them. This the research that we do, I think, it depends a lot on all of us, the clinicians, you know. It's not the basic scientists, they do help, but the clinical part is very, very important. This one, please. You know what is this? Anyone? Anyone? Sorry? That's right. This is a stem cell. All right. Now this is a big thing coming up. The stem cell. We are planning some research on that, but the word leaked out, and so some patients in India came to see me 2 months ago. We heard you're doing research on stem cell. Can my father come for treatment of stem cell? We got the mice and the animal model of Alzheimer's disease. We know that in Singapore, it's a chap from Penang. It was our previous dean doing research. He's an orthopedic surgeon. You know him, Sean Eng Hin. They're doing studies on stem cell for growing a new joint. That's for Eng Hin. That's right. But we thought of doing something for Alzheimer's disease. This will be the frontiers of research. I mentioned once again the clinician, all of us. People think, oh, clinicians don't do interesting research. But it often depends on the clinicians, their acumen, and to come out. I mention this because before I did the research on Alzheimer's disease in 1984, in 81, 82, 83, I had a lot of referrals from the hepatologists, the gastroenterologists, for patients with alcohol problem. So I took the patients and I did a study and found outcome. And they found the outcome in Singapore was better than the outcome from King's College in London. It was published in the British Journal, and it was even reviewed in NIH, the biggest research center in the world. And I was asked to give a lecture in London. At the end of the lecture, someone said, "Wow, this is interesting. People from Asia can come and give this lecture and this research." And someone said, "Wow, I'm so surprised Asia because 60% of the world's population is from Asia." One of them said that if I were to review all the big journals on scientific research, 97% of the research papers are published by people from North America and Europe, and Asia, not 95%, Asia only 5%. Of the 5%, the research papers come from, 3% come from Japan, and the other 2 come to the rest of Asia. So what happened to the Asians? Well, there's a Singapore Indian diplomat, I think his name is Kishore Mubani. He wrote a book, it was reviewed in Time magazine called "Can Asians Think?" Very controversial. It's even reviewed now. So I told the people, well, we can think, we can plan new things, but sometimes your journals are very biased. That's because you're the person published from Seremban General Hospital. If you're from Harvard or Oxford, so sometimes you're all biased in the reviewers. So after I came back to Singapore, the editor of the British Journal wrote me a letter. I listened to your argument, but can you write an editorial in the British Journal about what do you think about the review process in all these world's journal, whether it's a level playing field or too much of pettifogging? So okay, thank you very much. I will write editorial. And this is what I wrote. Next one. Right. It's called the Ethics of Refereeing Re-Examined. And I said, the marketplace for ideas should not merely be sacrosanct to research centers in London and New York, and ignoring the rich experience of clinicians from Kathmandu or Batu Pahat. And this is the first time my hometown has been mentioned in an international scientific journal. Batu Pahat always mentioned newspapers for being a seedy place, prostitution, drug addiction, gangsterism. I feel sometimes even embarrassed to tell people, but I'm glad that IMU has got a satellite down there now. And I'm glad there are more students going down there, academics going to town, and I hope you'll grow into a delightful university town, and in future years match even the English university towns like Oxford or Cambridge. Thank you very much.